Hello everyone, Dr. Jen here. Okay, you guys have been asking for it and I finally have it recorded for you. Today I'm going to dive into handstand prep, what you should do to warm your body up, beginning exercises for strengthening, stability, and then some of my favorite handstand drills. And this will be on a beginner level, so just really learning your handstand, learning your lines, not really making any shapes or anything. I'll show you a couple different entrances into your handstands. So let's get started. Before I dive in, if you have a moment, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Click the bell so you get notified every Tuesday when I drop a new video. And head over to Instagram, give me a follow, Natural Wellness Tips. You can stay in tune with everything I have going on. But let's dive into handstands. So, wrists, we're on our hands. We're basically standing on our hands instead of our feet. One of the misconceptions I had in the beginning of handstands is that you should have your hands open big and wide on the ground. And one of my trainers that I work with for my handstands was like, well, do you do that with your feet or do you just let your feet land on the ground? So she taught me to just kind of let your hands hit the ground, and that's how you should handstand. And it was this big aha for me. It made a big difference in my handstands. So we're gonna come into tabletop first. Just let those hands come down underneath your shoulders. You're going to notice when you first let them come down that your weight might be like in the ball mound of your hands. I want you to transfer the weight into the pointer fingers and the thumbs and roll the eyes of the elbows forward. When you do that, you should feel engagement here in the chest. It should begin to engage in the pecs. That's what we want. That's important for our handstands. So let's do a couple drills here where we let our chest drop between our shoulders and then we push up and roll the eyes of the elbows forward. So we're dropping down, we're engaging our serratus anterior and our pecs. Our navel is drawn in. We're just kind of warming up the shoulders because we need the shoulders to be able to press and open in our handstands. So this lifted position is where we want to stay. So now that we're there in that lifted position, we're pushing through the pointer finger and thumb, really feeling the opening and the engagement here. Let's go ahead and warm up our wrists. So we're going to shift forward and back, forward and back. Do that a few times. Come back to center, shift left to right. Come back to center and then draw a couple circles. This shouldn't hurt your wrists. It should just feel like it's warming up. If it hurts, maybe you got something going on in your wrist, you want to get checked out, let's switch directions. Now, as you get stronger, an option to do would be to take that all the way out to plank and do those same exercises, but you really have to be open and engaged in those shoulders. Okay, so let's give our wrists a little bit of a break. I'm going to show you just a few of my stretches I really like to do before I get started with handstands. So my first is puppy pose. I really like to open up through my lats. I'm really tight in my shoulders just because of my shoulder strength. So if you tend to be stronger in the shoulders, you're gonna wanna muscle into your handstands more, and we actually wanna get into a stack where we don't have to work so hard in our handstands, which can be difficult, especially if you're a little more defined or muscular. So we're gonna take our arms out in front of us, our hips stay high, our toes stay tucked, our forehead comes down to the mat, and we just breathe here for a few breaths. I like to take my chin to the mat since I have the space. If you have the space, you can do that. If you don't, just come back to your forehead. Shouldn't have any pain in your neck when you do this. Keep breathing. So I like to do that kind of before and after my handstands just to warm up my shoulders and give them a nice little stretch. So we're going to also stretch our hip flexors. I find it's really important to be able to get that nice stack in our hips to have that opening here. So let's bring our right foot forward, tailbone gently tucks under. We shift forward into the stretch, making sure the knee is not going past the ankle. You can breathe right here with your hands on your hips, or if you have the space, arms can come up, gaze can come up. So we think about handstands, our arms are long above our head, and we need to have that good line in our side bodies and our hips. So this just kind of helps me. I like to sometimes interlace my thumbs and open up through my chest. Maybe even cactus your arms. Come back up through center. You can hold that for 5 to 10 breaths. And then we'll switch sides. Depending on how tight your hips are, you could do this a few times. I tend to have really tight hips. So hands to the hips first, tailbone tucks under, shifting forward, really opening up through that hip flexor. When you're ready, if you'd like, you lift your hands, maybe your gaze, maybe interlock opposite thumbs, feeling that stretch. The cactusing felt good. Open up through those arms, goalpost those arms, lift your heart. And then come down. From here, we're gonna try a few of my favorite strengthening exercises. We're just gonna do one set together. I recommend working your way up to 3 sets of all of these, doing them a couple days a week as your handstand drills, as part of your handstand drills. So the first one is going to start in boat. So moving the flesh out from under your sit bones, hands can come down to the ground, lift one leg and then the other. You can bring your knees together and your feet together, or your knees and your feet apart. Just kind of commit to one. Your arms are going to come up long if you can. From here, take a big inhale. And then exhale, we're going to lower to canoe or low boat. Navel is drawn in. Your first job is to try to stay here. Your goal is to hold this as long as you want to hold your handstand. So if you want to hold your handstand for 10 seconds, you should be able to hold this for 10 seconds. If you want to be able to hold your handstand for a minute, you should be able to hold this for a minute. To challenge yourself, your arms come up overhead. Breathing here. I'm shaking because I already did my core workout. Good. When you're ready for a break, bring your knees into your chest and just rock side to side. So I like to do 3 to 5 repetitions of that one. So you can pause the video and do that. Working your way up to holds of 45 seconds to a minute. And then from here, we're going to do one more while we're on our, actually 2 more while we're on our back. We're going to take our arms up overhead. So a tendency when we lift our arms up overhead is we get this big arch in our back. So draw your navel in. I have extra tissue under my bum, so my back doesn't come all the way down. It wouldn't be natural. But you see that my navel's drawn in and I'm nice and long. Near my side bodies, my arms are long and pushing into the ground. From here, my legs zip up. My chin lifts and looks down at my belly button, and then my toes lift. My hands stay on the ground. We breathe here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then release. Good. Breathing here. We're going to repeat that 2 more times so you can really get that position. Arms long, hands push into the mat. Toes point, navel draws in, long through the core, long through the side. Chin lifts and looks down towards your belly button. If you can, feet lift. You hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. If it feels good, you can bring your knees into your chest and just gently rock side to side. We'll do that 1 more time. So again, I kind of like to do them all 3 to 5 times. And you can increase the length of how long you're holding them. You know, ultimately maybe working your way up towards a minute. That would be pretty challenging, but just see how you do with it. So navel draws in, chin lifts, toes lift. We hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then release. Bring your knees in, rock side to side. If you're working on your handstand presses or eventually you want to get your handstand press, the next exercise is really great for you, but no matter what, it's a really wonderful exercise. So your arms are going to come up over your head, your legs are long. You lift those legs slightly off the ground, really engage the core, and you come out to your widest straddle. Your toes are pointed up. So I haven't turned my hips out, my knees are to the ceiling. From here, turn your toes out so your knees are pointing up towards you and begin to bring your legs up. From here, you're bringing your legs together, hips come off the ground, working your toes up overhead, maybe tapping the ground. Arms are still long. Then we reverse. We slowly lower back down. When we get down, we turn our knees towards the ceiling, bring our legs in. Out, turn the knees up, lift, lift, lift. In the beginning, you might actually have to hold on to something like the underside of the couch to do this with good control. We'll do 3 more. Out, turn, lift, slow and controlled, and we reverse. down, out. Your knees are still up. Now they point towards the ceiling and come together. Out, turn, all the way up. Slowly lower. Feet come together. Out, turn the toes out, turn the knees out, lift, lift, lift. Arms are long. Slowly lower. Again, you might need to take your hands, so like a good option is to come this way and take the hands under the couch to begin with those. They could be really challenging. But I do 3 sets of 10 at a minimum. Usually end up doing 4. So anywhere again between that 3 to 5 sets of 10 or 3 to 5 holds of an exercise works really well for me. There's one more exercise of just kind of, I like to just call it body awareness exercise that I like to do. So this one, you're gonna come onto your stomach. Your arms are long in front of you, your forehead down to the mat. Everything's long. From here, you draw your navel in and your ribs up. And you hold for 3, 2, 1. Release. Big inhale. Exhale, lift. 3, 2, 1. And release. You'll see it's not much of a movement, but it's really about hollowing out the body. And again, same thing. You can do 3 sets of 10. Beginning to just find that alignment. So those are my conditioning exercises that I like to do for my my handstands. Just kind of a little peek of some of the things I do to really get that alignment and that positioning in the abdominals, in the arms and the shoulders and the hips. Okay, so now we have some handstand drills. The first handstand drill I like to teach is the L drill. So you're going to use the wall. So you're going to stand back from the wall, one leg lifts. And you want to be in a perfect L shape or like 7 shape, right? So your hands are actually going to be closer than you think. So see where my bottom foot is on the ground? I'm just going to turn around and I'm going to put my hands where my feet were. And then I'm going to lift the legs up. At first, you're probably going to want to kind of be here, but your goal is to come down. Remember, we're pushing through the pointer finger and the thumb till we're in an L. And then you want to be able to breathe here, 5 or 10 breaths. When you can breathe here for 5 or 10 breaths, you're going to lift one leg. Maybe you kind of float from the wall. 5 or 10 breaths. And then the other side. The easiest way down is just to walk down. So obviously I didn't hold out for long. I'm just going to kind of walk you through these drills and then you can start to work on them. So starting there, gaining confidence with that drill is going to help you start to feel comfortable being upside down. If any of these you feel like you're going to fall, you just cartwheel out or walk your hands back out. It's just knowing your exit plan is really important. So, okay, so we did the L balance on the wall. Now we're going to do the wall walk-ins. Okay, so you're going to come back into that position where you're in that L, and then you're just going to start to straighten your body. From here, you're actually just going to walk your hands as close to the wall as you can, pushing through the pointer finger and the thumb. Now point your toes, tuck your tailbone under, and bring your forehead towards the wall. Here, you're holding. Your goal is to hold this for a minute. That's really harder than it sounds. So set an alarm, be patient, take a couple times to do it. In the beginning, just do a couple, maybe 20-second holds till you get to that minute. Now let's say I was gonna fall out, I could just fall that way. That's what I mean when I mean cartwheel out. Ultimately, you wanna use some control and begin to walk yourself back out. Okay, so from here, once you feel really good with that wall walk-in, you can turn around and do your handstand drills this way. And again, get up and find that lift and hold for a minute, navel drawn in. But another drill I really like is the kind of like splits up. So this is a little harder, especially if you don't have really good splits, but it's okay, you can still accomplish it. You're gonna bring your hands about a foot away from the wall. Big weight in your fingertips and your thumbs. So we're kind of comfortable now in our hands. We've been doing the other drills. Eyes at the elbows, shift forward, lift on up. You're gonna lift and tap, and lower and tap. lift and tap, and lower and tap. I like to do about 10 on each side. I really do better with my left leg lifting than my right. It's a challenge for me to do my right, but it's good to be able to do both, right? So you want to work on that and practice that. Okay, so we have a few those drills we're doing so far. You're not doing all of them at once. You're going to kind of pick which ones work for you and begin to build your tolerance up. So all of that was really on the wall. Once we get comfortable with that on the wall, you can begin to take some of those drills away from the wall. So you can do those splits up away from the wall where you're lifting, right? And then lowering. So you can begin to learn to do that away from the wall. And the key to kind of not wanting to hold in the beginning is that we're getting comfortable with the weight shifts. We're getting comfortable with the weight coming into the palm of the hands. Because in handstands, a lot of that weight comes into the palm of our hands. And we can have more videos on more advanced things like that in the future. So once you're there, then you can start to add in some more difficult entrances, like jumping up or tucking up, where you tuck up and hold. And then you come back down, or you can do the ones where you come up straight leg. Kind of hard to do when I'm talking. Then you come up straight leg and hold. It's hard to do it all when I'm talking. But you can do those against the wall, you can do them away. What I don't like to really see, and I think is a really bad habit to get in, is just like a jumping up and trying to like kick up into your handstand. Try to use more control, try to use the wall. It's your friend. And just remember, when you're all done with handstand, coming back to a nice puppy pose is great, but I really love coming to an embryo pose. And just taking 5 to 10 deep breaths here. Really great. And then for me, a must after my handstand practice is a little bit of deep blue. I take it. For me, I need to put it on my neck, my shoulders. Just feels really good and gives my body that nice release after my handstand practice. So handstands take time, they take repetition, they take getting comfortable being upside down. Take your time with them, enjoy it, have fun. Comment below with any questions that you have. Make sure you subscribe. Follow me over on Instagram, Natural Wellness Tips, if you haven't yet. And I'll catch you next week with our next video.